Flight boss, bitch. You know, for sure. You're not listening to the Mind of an Antares Moon. Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, and Dolo here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, we want to talk about the ether, the spirit, the conscious. Now, I'm finna get people to understand this concept of shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas, which if you want to call it ether, or you want, and your piece of it, be your percentage of it, your spirit. So you can make this big and small, and you can consist it into a lot of elements. You can add hydrogen, helium, you can add sodium, you can add all kind of stuff to this. And based upon what realm of reality you go in, that's what big of a vessel or how small of a vessel you could be able to take in that realm. Now listen, everything is like gas, liquid, solid. You see what I'm saying? Frequency, vibration, energy, spirit, soul, body. Now, the spirit is your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas. Now, you experience a lot of shapeless, formless things. Now, you, based upon your realm of reality, that's when things could become flammable and things of that nature, because it's acting off the other elements. But for the most part, as far as your spirit, now, when you're dreaming in the dream realm, that's just your soul body without the physical. So in that realm, you're experiencing your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable body. You see what I'm saying? So this is why you can do things in your dreams that you can't do in the physical realm. This is why the situations that take place in your dreams is not physically taking place as physical representations as people, places, and things in the physical realm. You see what I'm saying? So you see water, fire here, and things of that nature. Your imagination, your thoughts. And when you go live in those realms, aka the yin realm, when you dream, daydream, or imagine and things of that nature, that's your body, that's your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable body. Now listen, as a spirit, as a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas, as traveling through space, each space is like space within space. And they've been there, everything is on its own travel, based upon your space group, other space groups relative to where you're at. So everybody has accumulated different things amongst their travel. So as you're traveling through big and small, different formless, shapeless gas, right? That's when you go into a realm of reality. So that's when you become a soul. Your spirit become a soul. Anytime you go in a portal, in a hole, in a realm, in a light, whatever. On your space travel, you become a soul, because your spirit, aka your frequency, your gas, your conscious, right, is a timeline. It's a line of events, right? So that's the direction it's going. And then once you go in a realm based upon that frequency, you're going to vibrate on that frequency now, because you travel into the location based upon that frequency. Now you're going to attract and go into the direction where that vibration is migrating. So boom, you go into that vibration. That's a realm of reality. So it's a space that's already consists of a bunch of fluid, experience, motion, movement, emotion, mode, movement, you know what I'm saying, experience, time. You see what I'm saying? A space. You know what I'm saying? This is why when you say I'm in my space, you in your space, you really mean that. So that's when your spirit becomes a soul. So now your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable spirit gas, which becomes a soul, is now taking the shape and form, or taking the illusion and of the realm of reality. So since the realm of reality that you went in is a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas, right? It may consist of a bunch of elements and a bunch of things that when you go through it, it plays out as you receiving the information within it. You know what I'm saying? Then you're constantly in survival mode. So you have to look at it like this. If you look at the mankind, humanity life, right? Everything you see is in survival mode. So don't just stop as you being who you are now and understanding survival mode. Take it back to the beginning. This one when you was just a membrane, or I'm taking it all the way back to as a race that's coming here in general. Coming into a realm of reality, you constantly in survival mode because your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas went into a realm, so it's taking on the illusions and informations and the elements of this, constantly transforming, grasping itself to sustain itself in that location. So it's taking on that realm, making a body around its shapeless, formless, odorless gas, right? Boom, and building a body around itself. then once it get sustained of the realm of reality, is like a form of bacteria or a form of the air or the form of the toxin there or whatever like that. So whatever male or female species is there, right, based upon the information you're consisting of in that realm of reality, you're going to consist of an idea or a vibration. Now based upon the male or the female that precedes you in that realm, that you get able to be physically experience that realm and not just be a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable, you know what I'm saying, experiencing as a ghost, right? Soon a male or female, and a lot of times a male, get an idea that has a frequency that resonate with your vibration, you would go in to that person's thoughts and you would connect with it. And then once the person start emotionally evolving themselves in that thought or that idea and start expressing it with their emotions and things of that nature, then that's when you actually start to take forms of the fluid. Your shapeless, formless, odorless gas start to take forms of all the fluids within the chakra of the being. Then you can start to bring yourself into the physical realm and start taking on physical shapeless, formless, and odorless things, which you start to take on the body within the being. So you take on the body parts, the fluid and the body parts in there. So then your first couple bodies is fluids. Then your last body will be like sperm, you know what I'm saying? But these are all bodies that you are consciously in controlling to get to the next state. Then boom, you get shot into the mother, and then you take on the emotional vibrations and the feelings and things of that nature. Then you could be able to come out into the realm of the realm that you went into, the realm of reality that you went into as a shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas. Now you can experience the physicality of the spaceship that you built for yourself in that realm. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a situation where you are emerged. So when you are dreaming and things of that nature, that's you outside the physical body, and that's you in the soul, and that's your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas body, but experiencing being immersed into a realm of reality before experiencing the physicality of it, the shape and form of it. You're just experiencing the information and the illusion of it. So this is why you could take many different situations at one time. Like say when you in your dream, right? And say you doing one thing, then you just switch and do another thing, then you in another place, then you in another place, right? That's an example. That's a representation of something being shapeless, formless. You know what I'm saying? You don't have no shape and form there. So you're experiencing many different ways and shapes and forms. And it's coming to you through many different people, places, and things. This is why in a dream you have to understand that the person, place, or thing matters none. The actual feelings and the vibration that's involved is what's important. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the actual world that you're in. And you have to choose the world. Like, for an example, you could be like, man, you could say you're going through pain when you're awake, and then you like to go to sleep. But when you go to sleep in that world, you know what I'm saying, pain there may even be worse than pain here. Because you could experience a death in a dream, or somebody getting hurt that you don't never, or an energy being dissipated that you never wanted, and it played out through a person, place, or thing in your dream, and it make you feel the worst pain that you never felt in a lifetime than ever being awoke. And you look at that like, damn, that's a nightmare. See, that's letting you know the power that you have into the realm that you're getting ready to go. See, the realm that you're getting ready to go is a situation where your shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas is taking on information of all this space travels based upon all these other spaces and how they're vibrating and things of that nature. And it's getting to a situation where it's just learning, and as learning, the conscious is getting bigger, but also the body is getting bigger. That is able to take a bigger brain. You see what I'm saying? So you have to understand the difference when we talk about the spirit and what you're consciously aware of. See, the spirit and what you're consciously aware of is kind of tied in and linked a little bit, because with your spirit is like your frequency. It's almost like if you got high spirits, you got low spirits. That means you got high ideas, you got low ideas. You know what I'm saying? Then your soul is experiencing those frequencies. So it's vibrating that frequency now. That frequency is alive. It's not just a flat line. It's alive, right? And depending on how much it's going to vibrate is how much in density it's going to be. So if you're in the third dimension right now, that means you're in the third dense. You're in the third dimension right now, 3D. So you're in a situation where you have a 360, same way everyone else have a 360. You have your space, everyone has their space. You know what I'm saying? You can relate to yourself within you, you can relate to something outside of you, and you can relate to it in third person, right? And that's as far as you can go right now. But you're getting ready to get prepared, because it's like you almost in you and your other mother right now. And we're all in the overall mother. Now, we might not all come out through the same Pacific person as we ascend, but we're in a situation right now where the womb that the mother that you're going to be born into in that realm, we're in a concept where we understand it. It's like an overall type of thing. We're seeing it from the perspective of we're in something that's in something that's in something, right? So we're getting ready to be born out into the same thing that we see above us, like a planet or star. But when we born out, we might not be born out into the Pacific, into this Pacific one that we're in right now. Same way, for an example. Let me give you this for an example. Say okay, now you may be best friends. Now you're a girl, right? And you best friends. Your best friend is pregnant, right? Now it may be a situation where right now your best friend is pregnant, but you giving her a bunch of ideas and thoughts and things about her situation and circumstance, right? Now that's like a spirit. You know what I'm saying? Because the body is still just a body. Let's not forget that. And spirits be fighting for bodies. Spirits be fighting to get here. This is what the ancients understood. This is not a situation where, see, you know how we call sperm right now? The ancients called it spirit. And then since people go back to the old times and be like, oh, they're talking about spirit. Since spirit got this big old religious annotation to it nowadays, then people is like trying to connect the two, when really just back in the day it just wasn't the word sperm. They just called it spirit, the same way we call it sperm now. You see what I'm saying? But that's the only thing. But that started men worship. That's men worship and religious backing. Because if the goal on that backing, that's to say that only men can create spirits. That don't even make any sense. And then that's to say only a body can create spirits. That don't make any sense. You see what I'm saying? And we know this is the reason why you can be like, okay, I'm in this body, but I'm not of this body. This body is the development of the sperm becoming. This is a hyper engineered sperm body. You see what I'm saying? But the spirit is shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas. And when a sperm is being developed, spirits fight to come into realms of realities. Same way when you have a lot of ideas when you about to bust, that's not really you. That's a bunch of different motherfucking spirits fighting for the opportunity to take that body. See what I'm saying? You gotta know how to separate. Know how to separate two realms. I'm saying, because there's a lot of things in the external realm that people cling on to and get confused with the internal realm and think that they're talking about the internal realm by talking about the external realm. And it's not that. The people back, like, this is the simple things we have to understand. Look at it like this. People want to go back to the old civilizations, right? And want to say that the old civilizations got things right? But then when we get to reality, you know that you're smarter than your grandparents. Your grandparents know that they're smarter than their grandparents. Their grandparents know that they're smarter than their grandparents, right? And you know this for a fact, because you know if you got a child, your child is smarter than you. I have an 8-year-old child. She's way smarter than me when I was 8. So that's the reality of it. But then you got people taking their ideas and imaginations based upon what they've learned and correlated it with reality. When if you really understand reality, at some way, shape, or form, you got to come to the conclusion that, okay, the older the civilization may have been the dumber. But if you're wise, you know that there's a lot of smartness that come out of dumbness. You see what I'm saying? So once you come from it from that aspect, you got a whole new perspective now. Now you're able to go back and understand that, okay, the reason why the ancients may have made it look like a woman or this, that, and the third, because that civilization in those years that mean the being that we in was younger, more infant-like. It wasn't stretched out. It wasn't adult. It wasn't as old as it is right now to have more space to understand itself. The same way when you get older, you start to understand yourself. Back in these days, the being was much smaller. So of course, the civilization the planets and everything around it is going to appear much closer. Because everything is more baby, more infant-like. Like I was saying before, back in those days, the sun didn't even represent hotness. The hot and the heat and everything, that was created by humans and mankind, and then y'all have built on with y'all imagination and y'all emotions and feelings, and then y'all really start to feel like that's what it's doing, and y'all starting to build a cage and a hell for yourself. But back then, the sun wasn't even received that way. It wasn't received as heat or light or anything like that. So it was a different relationship with the sun. The imagination with the sun was different. So the collective conscious agreed on what the sun was doing different than what people think the sun is doing now. So the actual give and receive energy back and forth with the sun and the other planets was different. So the receiving of the information was different. The channeling was different. The way the interactions was different. And even the results of what the sun actually did on the planet was actually different. See what I'm saying? So you have to understand how every civilization came up with their own ways. And for you to go back to an old civilization, try to take an old light and recreate it underneath this new light, it never works. This is why the newer the technology is, the more it's not going to be compatible with the old technology. You know what I'm saying? You can't replay a new PS4 or a new Xbox without a flat screen TV, because the technology is, you see what I'm saying? So it's all about evolving, and the being that we in is going into an adult. But listen, that's another video. We talking about the shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable gas, the ether. That's your spirit, your conscious. You know what I'm saying? And anytime it goes into a realm of reality, aka into a vibration, it get immersed into the information and the illusion and the light of how the characteristics and things playing out in that realm. And then that's how you can end up seeing and realizing things and being able to do things like imagine things from that realm. Know how to put things and metaphors together in that realm. Know how to correlate things and learn how to sustain yourself. You're constantly in survival mode. You're constantly dying and transforming. You know what I'm saying? You're constantly transforming. You know what I'm saying? You're constantly breaking down, building, break it down, building, break it down, building. And the larger you get to do it, the lesser you see it being experienced. But it's happening every second. You see what I'm saying? I just take things a little further. But for the most part, yeah, you just constantly trying to sustain yourself so you don't get dissipated as your gas. You know what I'm saying? Because these spaces and these locations we be traveling through is heavy and immense. We traveling through beings and different fucking big ass beings and shit that sustain spaces for long times, and their rotations and shit is heavy. So if we're going to survive, we're going to have to make sure we stay in survival mode. Make sure we building the right body and spaceship around ourselves through these travels. This is why you have a yin and a yang realm existence. Because your yin realm, like your dream imagination, that's what you're doing up there. And your physical is what you're doing down here. But it's like in the same place. It's just two realms. It's in the same place. It's just you got two bodies. See, but the real reality is the shapeless, formless, odorless one, because you know that's where all your memory at. When you think and have memory, you're not in no physical body. I mean, you in a physical body, but you're not acting, you're not doing nothing. You're just sitting back, going into the future or in the present or the past. See what I'm saying? So that's already separating yourself from actually going in the physical past or going into the, you know what I'm saying? That's why you don't want to live in the past. When they say live in the past, that means your memory, your head, your spirit is still, your soul is lost in the memory, lost in past, but your actions is in the present. So all your actions in the present is predicated on experiences that you did in the past. So you end up getting in wrong relationships, dumb relationships, bad circumstances and situations and things of that nature. Then they say don't live in the future. You could be a person with all these ideas, but you in the present right now, and you're not even putting none of these ideas to action or anything like that. Which living in the future is a lot better than living in the past, but you're always supposed to live in the present. Therefore, you create the past and the future. And that's how you separate from the physical. You see what I'm saying? Because the physical ain't shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable. It takes a shape and form of the non-flammable. So for an example, my spirit. The only way I can show you my spirit is through my energy and how I express myself, right? Now the shape and form it's gonna take is through how my body is doing it. Right? So that's the only way you can calculate it, through my body, right? But you always can sense my spirit. Even if you're not looking at my body. Once you catch the energy, I cannot be around. But you can sense my spirit. You can be like, oh, okay, I get a sense of his kind of person. You see what I'm saying? Without seeing the physical form of it. So you have to know how to separate the two. But yeah, this is a quick video, man. Flight boss bitch, goddamn air.